The autumn wind whipped across the VA hospital parking lot as Lucas Mitchell's hands trembled on the steering wheel. Through the rain-streaked windshield, he spotted a familiar silhouette that made his heart stop. A German Shepherd, limping but proud, its dark eyes scanning the crowd. No, it couldn't be. After 2.5 years of searching, of sleepless nights, of his daughter Emma's silent tears, it seemed impossible. The dog froze. Its ears perked forward, nose lifting to catch a scent that had traveled across time itself. Lucas stepped out of his car, his military training forgotten as emotion overwhelmed him. "Rex," he whispered, his voice breaking. The name he hadn't spoken aloud since that brutal day when financial ruin had forced him to make an impossible choice. The German Shepherd's reaction was instantaneous. Despite its injured leg, it launched forward with the precision of its military training. But before their reunion could complete, sirens pierced the air. 3 police cruisers screamed into the parking lot, and Officer Chuck Thompson's voice boomed through a megaphone step away from the dog. "That animal is property of the United States military, and you are interfering with official business." Lucas stood his ground even as his world threatened to shatter again. Behind him, a group of veterans emerged from the hospital entrance, their faces set with determination. The rain intensified, and in the distance a small figure appeared, Emma, his 8-year-old daughter, who hadn't spoken a word since Rex disappeared. The stage was set for a battle that would test the bounds of love, law, and loyalty. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments along with the city you're watching from now. Let's continue with the story. In the quiet suburbs of Denver, Lucas Mitchell had once embodied the American dream. A decorated K-9 police handler with 15 years of service, he commanded respect within the force and his community. His weathered face and graying temples told the story of countless nights on patrol, but it was his gentle eyes that revealed his true character. The tragic loss of his wife Mary to cancer 5 years ago left him raising their daughter Emma alone, balancing his police duties with the challenges of single parenthood. His partnership with Rex began as a standard K-9 unit assignment, but evolved into something far more profound when the dog demonstrated an extraordinary ability to connect with Emma, who lived in a world of silence due to her autism. Rex's background. Rex wasn't just any German Shepherd, he was exceptional from the start. Born into the prestigious Miller's Working Dog program, he displayed intelligence and temperament that set him apart. His formal name in service records read King Rex of Miller Valley. But to the Mitchell family, he was simply Rex, the guardian who slept outside Emma's room every night. His military-grade training made him an exceptional police dog, but it was his gentleness with Emma that made him irreplaceable. Rex could sense her anxiety attacks before they happened, providing crucial support that no therapy had managed to replicate. His service record included 12 successful missing persons finds and 3 life-saving interventions, but his greatest achievement was bringing Emma out of her shell. C. The supporting cast. Dr. Sarah Anderson, the VA hospital's chief veterinarian, brings 20 years of experience treating service animals and a deep understanding of the bond between handlers and their dogs. Her silver hair and kind face mask a fierce advocate for animal welfare and veterans' rights. Officer Chuck Thompson, a by-the-book animal control officer with a personal vendetta against former Officer Mitchell, represents the bureaucratic obstacle to their reunion. His starched uniform and rigid posture reflect his inflexible interpretation of regulations. The story's heart, however, is Emma Mitchell, 8 years old, living with autism, and holding a connection to Rex that transcends ordinary human-animal bonds. Her silence since Rex's disappearance speaks louder than words, telling a story of loss that the entire community has come to understand. The intricate web of relationships between these characters sets the stage for a conflict that will challenge their beliefs, test their loyalties, and ultimately reveal the extraordinary depths of love between a family and their dog. December 2021 arrived with a cruelty that Lucas Mitchell never saw coming. The hospital bills from Emma's intensive therapy sessions had already stretched their finances to the breaking point when Rex was injured during a routine police pursuit. The diagnosis from Valley Animal Hospital was devastating: a complex spinal injury requiring specialized surgery costing $12,000, with no guarantee of success. Lucas sat in his modest kitchen, surrounded by unpaid medical bills, his calloused hands trembling as he reviewed his options. His police officer's salary, already strained by Emma's care, couldn't cover Rex's surgery. The department's K-9 unit insurance had maxed out on previous treatments. Every credit card was at its limit, and his home equity had been exhausted by Mary's cancer treatments 2 years prior. That morning he had to make an impossible choice. Emma's next round of therapy payments were due treatments that were finally showing progress, and Rex's surgery couldn't wait. The Veterans Assistance Program offered a solution that felt like a betrayal. They would take Rex, provide his medical care, and redeploy him through their military service dog program. The alternative was watching Rex suffer without proper medical attention. On a cold Wednesday morning, Lucas drove to the VA facility. Rex sat in the back seat, trusting and unaware, occasionally nudging Lucas's shoulder with his nose as he always did on their drives together. Emma had been at her morning therapy session, spared from witnessing the goodbye that would silence her world. Lucas's last image of Rex was the confused look in his loyal eyes as the VA handlers led him away, his injured leg causing a slight limp that tore at Lucas's heart. That evening, when Emma returned home and found Rex's bed empty, her screams of silence echoed through their home louder than any sound Lucas had ever heard. He held his daughter as she rocked back and forth, knowing he had sacrificed one love to preserve another, a decision that would haunt every quiet moment of their lives. The changes in Emma began like autumn leaves falling slowly at first, then all at once. In the weeks following Rex's departure, her carefully constructed world began to unravel. The therapy progress reports, once filled with hopeful observations, now documented a steady decline. Her teacher, Mrs. Eleanor Thompson, noticed first Emma no longer participated in their morning circle time, an activity she had grown to enjoy with Rex's support during class visits. At home, Lucas watched helplessly as his daughter retreated further into herself. The corner of the living room where Rex's bed had been became Emma's new sanctuary. She would sit there for hours, clutching his old collar, her fingers tracing the worn metal tag until Lucas worried it would wear smooth. The simple routines they had established, morning walks, afternoon training sessions, evening cuddles, now stood as painful reminders of their loss. Each empty moment echoed with the absence of patting paws and gentle whines. The financial relief from not having Rex's medical expenses offered little comfort against the cost to Emma's development. Her progress in speech therapy plateaued, then declined. The words she had carefully learned to speak, encouraged by Rex's patient presence, faded back into silence. At night, Lucas would find her sleeping on the floor beside the empty dog bed, her therapy notebook untouched on her desk, filled with drawings of a German Shephered with wings. Emma's therapist, Dr. Rebecca Martinez, explained it with gentle professionalism. The bond between Emma and Rex wasn't just emotional support, it was a bridge to our world. Without him, she's lost her translator, her safety net, her confidence. The words felt like stones in Lucas's stomach, each one weighing down the certainty that he had made the right choice. The regression affected every aspect of their lives. School became a daily battle. Emma's anxiety attacks, once regulated by Rex's intuitive responses, now erupted without warning. Lucas began receiving calls from the school nurse with increasing frequency, each one a reminder of the stability they had lost. His police work suffered as he struggled to balance his duties with Emma's increasing needs, leading to concerned conversations with his supervisor about his future on the force. In quiet moments, Lucas would find himself reaching down to scratch behind ears that weren't there, calling out commands to an empty room, saving scraps from dinner for a dog bowl long since packed away. Each habit, formed over years of partnership, now served as a bitter reminder of what they had lost and what it had cost them. At the VA Medical Center in Colorado Springs, Rex's new chapter began with surgery. Under the skilled hands of Dr. Sarah Anderson, the spinal procedure that Lucas couldn't afford was completed successfully. During his recovery, Rex's military background emerged in unexpected ways. He would stand at attention when uniformed personnel entered the recovery ward, his training showing through his pain. The military adoption program provided a structured transition. Master Sergeant James Cooper, a 20-year veteran specializing in K-9 rehabilitation, was assigned to Rex's case. Cooper noted in his initial assessment, subject displays exceptional training, retention, and human empathy. Previous police work and family experience have created a uniquely adaptable asset. Behind the clinical language, however, Cooper recognized something more: a dog searching for his family in every new face. During physical therapy sessions, Rex demonstrated remarkable resilience. His injury healed steadily, but the staff noticed his peculiar behavior during evening rounds. He would position himself outside the children's ward, mimicking his protective stance from Emma's bedroom. When young patients passed by, his demeanor would soften instantly, displaying the gentle patience that had made him invaluable to Emma. As Rex progressed through the rehabilitation program, his service record grew impressive. He assisted in physical therapy sessions with wounded veterans, showing an intuitive understanding of their needs. His presence had a calming effect on soldiers dealing with PTSD, reminiscent of how he had helped Emma navigate her challenges. The military therapist began documenting what they called the Rex effect, his unique ability to adapt his support to each individual's needs. However, there were signs that Rex hadn't forgotten his family. During thunderstorms, he would pace anxiously, remembering his routine of comforting Emma. At night, the staff would find him sleeping beside the door, positioned as if guarding an absent charge. His training excelled, but his heart seemed tethered to a home miles away. Master Sergeant Cooper's reports consistently mention one observation despite exemplary performance. Subject displays periodic searching behaviors. Maintains high alertness to civilian families, particularly those with young children. Recommend monitoring for signs of attachment impact on service duties. On a crisp September morning in 2023, fate intervened at Cherry Creek State Park. 6-year-old Michael Turner had wandered away from his grandmother during their morning walk, drawn to the partially frozen lake's edge. The thin ice, deceptive in its late autumn appearance, cracked under his weight. The ensuing chaos drew the attention of the VA Rehabilitation Unit, conducting their morning training exercises nearby. Rex, who was engaging in his recovery exercises with Master Sergeant Cooper, responded before anyone could issue a command. His military training, melded with years of police service, drove him into action. Despite his recently healed injury, he bounded across the park, his powerful stride betraying no hesitation. The gathered crowd watched in horror as the child's red jacket disappeared beneath the surface. What happened next would be recounted in local newspapers and evening broadcasts across Colorado. Rex broke through the ice, his powerful form cutting through the freezing water with precision that spoke of his years of service. The German Shepherd reached Michael just as the boy's strength began to fade. With careful gentleness, the same gentleness he had once shown Emma, Rex gripped the child's jacket and began the arduous journey back to shore. The rescue, however, came at a cost. The ice cut into Rex's healing leg, reopening old wounds and creating new ones. Yet he didn't release his grip until Michael was safely in the hands of the emergency response team. As cameras rolled and onlookers applauded, Rex collapsed on the shore, his dark fur matted with ice and blood. The story captivated local media. "Hero military dog saves child" ran as the headline in the Denver Post, accompanied by a photograph that would eventually find its way to the Mitchell household. The image showed Rex being treated by medics, his injured leg clearly visible, but his eyes remained fixed on the child he had saved, a pose hauntingly familiar to anyone who had seen him with Emma. The incident report, filed by Master Sergeant Cooper, noted subject sustained significant injury to previously compromised leg, however demonstrated exceptional decision-making and rescue capabilities. Recommend immediate medical evaluation and possible retirement consideration. What Cooper didn't include in his official report was how Rex had whimpered that night, not from pain, but in his sleep, making the same sound he used to make when trying to comfort Emma during her difficult moments. The evening news played quietly in the Mitchell living room, its blue light casting shadows across Emma's untouched dinner plate. Lucas sat reviewing his bills, a routine that had become all too familiar since Rex's departure. Emma sat in her usual spot by the empty dog bed, mechanically turning pages in her therapy workbook without engaging with its contents. The news anchor's voice shifted tone, and now a remarkable story from Cherry Creek State Park. Emma's head remained down, but Lucas glanced up, his attention caught by the words "military service dog." The footage began playing shaky cell phone video of a German Shepherd fighting through icy water. Lucas's pen clattered to the floor as recognition struck him. The camera zoomed in on the dog being treated on shore. Despite the mud and water matting his fur, the distinctive white marking on his chest shaped like a broken star was unmistakable. Then came the close-up of his face, those intelligent eyes scanning the crowd with the same alertness Lucas remembered from countless police shifts. Emma's reaction was electric. For the first time in months, she moved with purpose, scrambling closer to the television. Her fingers traced Rex's image on the screen, leaving smudges that Lucas couldn't bring himself to wipe away. Then came the sound that brought tears to his eyes, a small, clear voice that had been silent for too long. Rex. Lucas's hand shook as he rewound the DVR, studying every detail. The report mentioned the VA rehabilitation program, showing brief footage of the facility. In the background, a signed Colorado Veterans Affairs Medical Center. His police instincts kicked in as he began taking notes, his mind already mapping out the channels he would need to navigate. That night, Emma slept clutching the newspaper clipping of Rex's story, her first peaceful rest in months. Lucas stayed up until dawn, making calls to old contacts, sending emails, trying to navigate the bureaucratic maze that stood between his family and their dog. Each dead end only strengthened his resolve. The next morning, Emma carried the newspaper to school, her first voluntary interaction with her classmates in months, as she showed them the picture of her Rex. Her teacher, Mrs. Thompson, called Lucas in tears, describing how Emma had spoken 3 full sentences about Rex to her classmates during show and tell. Hope, which had been such a scarce commodity in the Mitchell household, began to take root again. But with it came a crushing realization: finding Rex was only the first step. The legal battle to reclaim a military service dog, even one that had once been part of their family, would test every resource and relationship they had left. The morning after the news broadcast, Lucas Mitchell encountered his first major obstacle at the VA Medical Center's administrative office. Behind a desk cluttered with regulations manuals sat MS. Patricia Webster, her stern expression hardening as she reviewed his case file. "Mr. Mitchell, while I sympathize with your situation, Rex is now classified as government property under Military Asset Code 247B, she explained, adjusting her wire-rimmed glasses. His successful rehabilitation and recent life-saving action have made him an invaluable military asset. The transfer of ownership was legally binding when you signed the surrender papers." Lucas had anticipated resistance, but the reality struck harder than expected. He presented the thick folder of documentation: Rex's original adoption papers, his police service records, Emma's medical files showing his crucial role in her therapy. Ms. Webster reviewed each document with methodical detachment, occasionally making notes in her ledger. The situation complicated further when Officer Chuck Thompson arrived unexpectedly, his presence adding another layer of bureaucratic resistance. "Mitchell," he said, his voice carrying across the office, "that dog is subject to multiple jurisdiction claims. The police department maintains partial interest due to his prior service, and there are questions about liability from his recent accident." The legal maze grew more complex with each passing hour. The military cited national security protocols, claiming Rex's specialized training made him a strategic asset. The police department raised concerns about liability and proper handling certifications. Even the local animal control office, led by Thompson, inserted themselves into the proceedings, citing municipal codes about service animal regulations. Dr. Sarah Anderson, who had performed Rex's surgery, attempted to intervene on Lucas's behalf. From a medical standpoint, the dog's recovery would benefit from a stable, familiar environment, she argued during an impromptu meeting. However, her professional recommendation was quickly buried under a mountain of regulatory requirements. The final blow came when Lucas received a certified letter from the Department of Defense. The document, filled with legal terminology, essentially stated that any attempt to reclaim Rex would be met with federal charges. The potential consequences included hefty fines and possible imprisonment, a risk Lucas couldn't take as Emma's sole guardian. In the dimly lit back room of Carter's coffee shop, a group of veterans gathered around a worn oak table one October evening. Lucas Mitchell sat among them, surrounded by decorated servicemen who had heard about his plight through Dr. Sarah Anderson's medical network. Former Marine Colonel David Richardson, now a prominent civil rights attorney, spread out documents across the table's scarred surface. "The military's claim on Rex rests on shaky legal ground," Richardson explained, his weathered fingers tracing lines of legal text. "The surrender agreement was signed under duress, a father choosing between his daughter's medical care and his service dog surgery. Any ethical court would recognize this conflict around the table. Heads nodded in understanding, each veteran intimately familiar with impossible choices. The search for support expanded systematically. Barbara Chen, a local journalist who had covered Rex's rescue of Michael Turner, began investigating similar cases nationwide. Her research uncovered a pattern: service animals being reclassified as military assets, separated from their original handlers and families. Each case added weight to their argument, building a foundation for legal precedent. Master Sergeant Cooper, risking his position, provided crucial inside information through carefully worded emails. Rex's condition was deteriorating not physically but emotionally. The hero dog of Cherry Creek Park spent his nights pacing, his training excellence marred by increasing signs of distress. Cooper's reports, technically filed as behavioral assessments, painted a picture of an animal struggling with separation much like his former family. The breakthrough came through an unexpected source. Michael Turner's grandmother, Grace Turner, reached out to local media after recognizing Rex from Lucas's police service photos. Her testimony about Rex's gentle handling of her grandson during the rescue added a compelling human element to their case. That dog didn't just save Michael, she told the Denver Post. He protected him, comforted him, just like he must have done for his little girl. A social media campaign, carefully orchestrated by younger veterans familiar with digital platforms, began gathering momentum. Bring Rex Home started trending locally, then nationally. The story resonated particularly with military families who understood the deep bonds formed between handlers and their dogs, between children and their guardians. Through the autumn months of 2023, subtle changes began manifesting in Emma's behavior. Her therapist, Dr. Martinez, documented a marked shift following the news broadcast of Rex's rescue. The simple act of having tangible proof that Rex was alive and helping others sparked a transformation in the young girl's engagement with the world around her. In her weekly therapy sessions, Emma began expressing herself through detailed drawings of Rex's rescue. Dr. Martinez noted how the artwork progressed from simple sketches to complex scenarios, each one incorporating more detail and emotional depth. The breakthrough came when Emma started narrating these drawings to her classmates, breaking her long silence with stories about Rex's bravery. Mrs. Thompson reported significant improvements in Emma's classroom participation. The newspaper clipping of Rex became a bridge to social interaction as other children, drawn by the dramatic rescue story, began sitting with Emma during lunch periods. She would carefully show them Rex's picture, explaining with growing confidence how he had been her guardian and friend. The community's support played a crucial role in this progress. Local veterans, aware of Emma's situation through their involvement in Rex's case, began visiting her school's special needs program. These visits, coordinated with the school administration, allowed Emma to interact with people who understood military and service dogs. Through their stories, she began understanding Rex's new role, transforming her sense of loss into pride in his accomplishments. Dr. Martinez implemented a new therapy approach, incorporating updates about Rex's recovery into their sessions. Each piece of news about his rehabilitation became a reward for Emma's progress. When she successfully completed her speech exercises, she would receive a new photograph or story about Rex, carefully provided by Master Sergeant Cooper through official channels. The most significant development came during a school assembly about service animals. Emma, who had previously avoided all public speaking, raised her hand to share her story. Her voice, though quiet, carried clearly through the auditorium as she described Rex's ability to understand her needs without words. The school principal later called Lucas, emotion evident in his voice, to describe how Emma's classmates had given her a standing ovation. At the VA Medical Center, Rex's rehabilitation following the Cherry Creek rescue took an unexpected turn. Dr. Sarah Anderson's medical reports detailed the complex nature of his recovery, noting how the cold water exposure had aggravated his previous spinal injury. Physical therapy sessions, once focused on maintaining his service capabilities, now required a complete restructuring to address his new limitations. Master Sergeant Cooper documented significant changes in Rex's behavior during this period. The German Shepherd maintained his exemplary discipline during training exercises, but his nights became increasingly restless. Staff members reported hearing him whimper in his sleep, a sound that Cooper recognized from his years of working with dogs suffering from separation anxiety. Despite these challenges, Rex's dedication to his duties never wavered. The turning point in Rex's recovery came through his work with young patients in the VA's Family Support Program. During these sessions, his natural instinct to comfort children emerged strongly, reminiscent of his bond with Emma. Dr. Anderson noted that Rex's own physical therapy improved markedly when he was assigned to assist children undergoing rehabilitation. His protective instincts, rather than diminishing with military training, had evolved to encompass a broader scope of care. Each morning, Rex would position himself near the hospital entrance, scanning arriving families with an attention that spoke of more than military vigilance. The staff began noting these behaviors in their reports, recognizing patterns that suggested Rex was actively searching for familiar faces. His reactions to children Emma's age became particularly pronounced, though he maintained professional composure appropriate to his training. The publicity from the Cherry Creek rescue brought increased scrutiny to Rex's condition. Military observers, impressed by his performance despite injury, began discussions about his potential retirement. These conversations, carefully noted in Cooper's reports, highlighted a growing recognition that Rex's greatest value might lie not in his military service, but in his unique ability to connect with and support vulnerable individuals. Dr. Anderson's final assessment proved crucial subject demonstrates exceptional recovery capabilities when engaged in supportive care roles. Recommend consideration of specialized therapy dog placement over continued military service. This medical opinion, backed by extensive documentation of Rex's behavior patterns, would later become a cornerstone in the legal arguments for his return to the Mitchell family. December 15, 2023, marked a pivotal moment at the VA Medical Center. The morning air carried a sharp winter chill as Lucas Mitchell's car pulled into the parking lot, Emma sitting quietly in the back seat, clutching Rex's old collar. Master Sergeant Cooper had arranged a carefully controlled meeting, citing the need to evaluate Rex's response to civilian interaction as part of his ongoing assessment. The hospital corridor stretched before them, its institutional white walls a stark contrast to the emotional intensity of the moment. Dr. Sarah Anderson met them at the rehabilitation wing entrance, her professional demeanor softening as she observed Emma's anxious anticipation. "Remember," she cautioned gently, "Rex has undergone significant changes during his time here. We need to proceed with caution." The meeting room, typically used for therapy sessions, had been prepared according to military protocols. Security cameras recorded from multiple angles as Cooper led Rex into the space. The German Shephered entered with military precision, his bearing reflecting his intensive training. Despite his recent injury, he maintained perfect form, though observers noted a slight favoring of his right hind leg. The moment of recognition transcended all professional documentation. Rex's ears lifted, his nose twitching as familiar scents reached him. Emma, who had been silent throughout the morning, made a small sound that caught the dog's attention. The change in Rex was immediate but controlled, his military training evident in how he maintained his position despite visible emotion. Lucas watched, tears threatening, as Rex's eyes locked onto Emma. The dog's tail, normally held in the precise position required by his training, began a subtle movement. Dr. Anderson nodded to Cooper, who gave a quiet command release. What followed demonstrated the perfect synthesis of military discipline and pure love. Rex approached Emma with measured steps, his movement displaying both his service training and his innate gentleness. Emma reached out, her small hand finding the familiar spot behind his ear. The dog pressed his head into her palm, a gesture unchanged by time or distance. The security cameras captured the moment his military bearing softly transformed into the protective posture he had always assumed with Emma. The profound silence was broken by Emma's clear voice, "Welcome home." Rex the dog responded with a soft whine, a sound the military handlers had never documented in their extensive behavioral reports. Dr. Anderson began making notes, her medical observations capturing the therapeutic significance of the interaction. However, the reunion's serenity shattered as Officer Chuck Thompson's voice echoed through the corridor, accompanied by the sound of approaching footsteps. "Stop right there. That animal is still under military jurisdiction." Officer Thompson burst into the reunion room, flanked by 2 uniformed security officers and brandishing official documents. This meeting was not authorized through proper channels, he declared, his voice echoing off the sterile walls. Under Denver Municipal Code 8-67, this animal must be immediately returned to military custody. Dr. Sarah Anderson stepped forward, medical charts in hand. Officer Thompson, this is a scheduled medical evaluation. As Chief Veterinarian, I authorize this meeting to assess Rex's therapeutic response. Her professional authority carried weight, but Thompson remained unmoved. The situation escalated as Colonel Richardson entered, his military bearing commanding immediate attention. I believe there's a jurisdiction question that needs addressing, he stated, removing a folder from his briefcase. This facility sits on federal land, Officer Thompson. Your municipal codes hold no authority here. Thompson's face reddened. That dog is classified as military property. My orders come directly from his words were interrupted by the arrival of Master Sergeant Cooper, who presented a new set of documents. Sir, I've just received updated orders from command. Rex's status is under review for medical discharge due to his injury sustained during the Cherry Creek rescue. Emma remained quietly focused on Rex, who maintained his protective stance beside her, his military training evident in his calm demeanor despite the mounting tension. Lucas noticed his daughter's hand hadn't left Rex's fur, their connection a silent testament to what was truly at stake. The confrontation reached its peak when Thompson moved toward Rex. Until this is resolved, the animal needs to be secured before he could take another step, the room filled with veterans who had been waiting in the hallway. They formed a respectful but unmovable barrier between Thompson and the Mitchells. Major General Howard Peterson, recently retired and still commanding respect, addressed the room. Officer Thompson, I've reviewed the entire case file. This dog's service record includes saving a child's life and providing crucial support to a special needs child. The military acknowledges dedication to duty, but we also recognize when an asset serves a higher purpose in civilian life. Dr. Anderson presented her final medical assessment. Rex's recent injuries, combined with his unique bond with Emma Mitchell, make him an ideal candidate for medical retirement and civilian therapy dog certification. My recommendation carries the full weight of the VA's medical authority. Thompson's resistance began to crumble under the combined pressure of military, medical, and veteran advocacy. The legal battle wasn't ending, but rather transforming into something more complex than a simple question of jurisdiction. The legal confrontation in the VA hospital room took an unexpected turn when Dr. Anderson noticed Rex's sudden change in behavior. The German Shepherd, maintaining his protective stance near Emma, began showing signs of distress. His right hind leg, previously exhibiting a slight favoring, now trembled visibly under his weight. Dr. Anderson immediately shifted into emergency medical mode. We need to get him to the surgical ward, she announced, her professional demeanor masking growing concern. Initial examination revealed complications from his Cherry Creek rescue injury, exacerbated by the cold water exposure and his recent increased activity. The gathered group's dynamics transformed instantly. Officer Thompson's legal documents lowered as the reality of the situation superseded jurisdictional disputes. Master Sergeant Cooper quickly cleared a path to the veterinary surgical wing, his military efficiency serving a new purpose. In the surgical preparation room, Dr. Anderson delivered her assessment. The previous spinal injury has destabilized. Without immediate intervention, Rex could lose mobility in his hind legs. The cost of the emergency procedure, she explained, would exceed $15,000, the same insurmountable figure that had forced Lucas's original decision. Emma, displaying remarkable composure, maintained physical contact with Rex throughout the initial examination. Her presence appeared to have a calming effect on the dog, whose training helped him remain still despite obvious discomfort. The medical team observed this interaction with professional interest, noting its significance for both patient care and their ongoing custody evaluation. In the midst of this crisis, an extraordinary demonstration of community support unfolded. Veterans in the room began making calls. The story of Rex's heroism at Cherry Creek had touched many lives, and now those connections mobilized with military precision. Within hours, a community fundraising effort launched through local veteran organizations and social media channels. Major General Peterson took command of the situation. Time is critical, he stated, addressing the assembled group. This dog has served his country, saved a child's life, and protected a family. We don't leave our own behind. His words galvanized action among the veteran community present. The urgency of Rex's medical condition created an unexpected alliance. Officer Thompson, witnessing the dedication of all parties involved, contacted his superiors at Animal Control. His report emphasized the medical emergency's precedence over jurisdictional disputes, requesting temporary suspension of custody proceedings pending treatment outcome. The surgical wing of the VA Medical Center became the epicenter of a new crisis as Dr. Anderson prepared Rex for emergency surgery. The procedure's complexity required specialized equipment and expertise from a neurological veterinary specialist, Dr. William Hayes, who would need to be flown in from Seattle. The time-sensitive nature of Rex's condition created an immediate administrative challenge. Department of Defense representatives arrived with formal documentation stating that any major medical decisions regarding Rex required multiple levels of approval as he was still classified as military property. The paperwork alone would take a minimum of 72 hours to process, time Rex didn't have according to Dr. Anderson's assessment. Lucas Mitchell faced an impossible situation reminiscent of his original decision. The community fundraising effort, while impressive in its rapid mobilization, had only reached 1/3 of the required amount. The military's insurance would cover the procedure, but only if Rex remained under their jurisdiction, which meant immediate separation from Emma and a transfer to a military medical facility in Texas. The emotional impact on Emma became immediately apparent. Upon hearing the possibility of another separation, she withdrew into silence. Dr. Martinez, who had been monitoring Emma's progress, observed concerning regression signals. The psychological impact of a second separation could potentially erase months of therapeutic progress, she documented in her urgent report to the review board. Master Sergeant Cooper, caught between his military obligations and his understanding of the situation's human element, attempted to negotiate a compromise. He proposed maintaining military oversight while allowing the procedure to be performed at the VA facility, keeping Rex within proximity to Emma. However, his superiors remained adamant about protocol adherence. Time became the enemy as Rex's condition continued to deteriorate. Dr. Anderson's hourly assessments showed increasing pressure on his spinal cord. The military's position remained firm: either surrender civilian custody claims and allow immediate transfer to the military facility, or assume full financial and legal responsibility for a procedure that needed to happen within 24 hours. The emergency surrounding Rex's medical condition sparked an unexpected controversy that rippled through the Denver community. Local media coverage of the situation drew conflicting responses, dividing public opinion along unforeseen lines. The Denver Post's headline, "Military Protocol vs. Family Bonds, the Cost of Service," ignited a heated debate about the rights of service animals and the obligations of military property. Several veteran organizations, initially united in their support for the Mitchells, found themselves at odds over the proper course of action. The Veterans Rights Association argued that maintaining military control ensured Rex would receive the highest standard of care at the specialized facility in Texas. Their spokesperson, retired Colonel James Whitney, emphasized the importance of preserving military asset protocols that had been established to protect service animals. Opposing this view, the Military Family Support Network, led by Margaret Sullivan, advocated for local treatment under VA supervision. Their position emphasized the therapeutic value of maintaining Rex's connection with Emma during his recovery. Medical professionals from both civilian and military backgrounds contributed to the discourse, presenting evidence for and against the benefits of familiar presence during rehabilitation. The situation intensified when a prominent military contractor published an opinion piece questioning the precedent of allowing emotional bonds to override established protocols. This perspective gained traction among those concerned about the potential impact on future military service animal programs. Letters to the editor reflected the community's struggle to reconcile humanitarian considerations with military necessity. Social media amplified these divisions. The Bring Rex Home campaign faced a counter-movement emphasizing military procedure and protocol. Local television coverage captured heated exchanges outside the VA Medical Center, where supporters from both sides gathered. The debate extended beyond Rex's specific case to broader questions about the classification of service animals as military property. Dr. Anderson's medical team found themselves navigating this controversial landscape while trying to maintain focus on Rex's deteriorating condition. Their professional assessments, intended to address immediate medical concerns, became ammunition in the larger debate about military versus civilian authority over service animal welfare. The weight of Rex's medical crisis manifested heavily in the Mitchell household. Lucas faced mounting pressure from his police department supervisors regarding his extended absences. His dedication to Rex's situation had begun affecting his performance reviews, and a formal warning arrived regarding his professional conduct. The financial strain of potential medical costs loomed over every decision, echoing the circumstances that had forced the original separation. Emma's educational progress, which had shown such promise following Rex's reappearance, began to decline markedly. Her school principal, Dr. Robert Williams, reported concerning changes in her behavior. The vibrant engagement she had displayed while sharing Rex's story with classmates diminished, replaced by a withdrawal more profound than her initial regression. Her therapy sessions with Dr. Martinez became increasingly challenging, with Emma refusing to engage in the communication exercises that had previously shown success. The personal toll extended beyond the immediate family. Master Sergeant Cooper, whose assistance had been instrumental in facilitating the reunion, received formal reprimands for his role in the situation. His career, distinguished by years of devoted service to the military's K-9 program, now faced scrutiny from his superiors. The professional relationships he had cultivated over decades showed signs of strain as he attempted to navigate between military protocol and humanitarian considerations. Dr. Sarah Anderson encountered professional challenges as her advocacy for Rex's local treatment drew criticism from colleagues, who favored strict adherence to military medical protocols. Her position at the VA Medical Center, once unquestioned, became subject to review as questions arose about her objectivity in handling military assets. The detailed medical report she had prepared, documenting Rex's condition and the benefits of maintaining his connection with Emma during treatment, faced challenges from military medical authorities. The financial burden of mounting legal consultations depleted Lucas's savings, forcing him to consider selling their home. The property, already leveraged to cover Emma's therapy costs, represented their last significant financial asset. The community fundraising effort, while substantial, had plateaued amidst the growing controversy, leaving them well short of the required amount for Rex's surgery. In the midst of Rex's medical crisis, a crucial discovery emerged through Barbara Chen's investigative reporting. Her thorough review of the original transfer documentation revealed concerning irregularities in the process that had separated Rex from the Mitchell family. The findings, documented in a comprehensive report, shed new light on the circumstances surrounding Rex's initial surrender. Officer Chuck Thompson's involvement extended beyond his current opposition to Rex's return. Records indicated that he had actively pursued Rex's reclassification as military property, bypassing standard procedures for service animal retirement. His departmental communications, obtained through official channels, revealed a personal vendetta stemming from a previous incident where Lucas had reported his mishandling of K-9 units. Dr. Sarah Anderson's review of Rex's original medical records uncovered critical information. The initial diagnosis that had prompted his surrender had been unnecessarily severe. The surgical procedure recommended at the time carried a significantly lower risk and cost than what had been presented to Lucas. This discrepancy suggested deliberate manipulation of information to facilitate Rex's transfer to military service. The investigation also revealed that the military adoption program had never intended to deploy Rex for active service. Internal memoranda indicated that his age and previous civilian experience made him better suited for therapeutic work, precisely the role he had fulfilled with Emma. The decision to classify him as military property appeared driven by administrative convenience rather than operational necessity. Most significantly, the documents exposed a pattern of similar cases where service animals had been unnecessarily separated from their families through bureaucratic maneuvering. The practice appeared designed to maintain control over specially trained animals, regardless of their optimal placement or the human cost involved. These revelations coincided with the arrival of a retired military veterinarian, Dr. James Morrison, who had supervised Rex's initial evaluation. His testimony confirmed that the original transfer had proceeded despite his professional recommendation for civilian rehabilitation. His concerns, documented in official reports, had been systematically disregarded. The disclosure of the irregularities in Rex's case catalyzed a swift sequence of legal developments. Colonel Richardson, armed with the newly uncovered evidence, presented a comprehensive brief to the Military Review Board. The document meticulously outlined the procedural violations in Rex's transfer and the questionable motivations behind his classification as military property. Major General Peterson personally convened an emergency meeting of senior military officials at the VA Medical Center. The gathering included key decision-makers from both military and civilian sectors, each now confronting the implications of the exposed documentation. Their deliberations focused not only on Rex's immediate situation but on the broader implications for service animal protocols. During the proceedings, Dr. Morrison's testimony proved pivotal. His detailed account of the original medical evaluation, supported by contemporaneous notes and photographs, demonstrated that Rex's condition had been deliberately misrepresented. The evidence suggested a systematic effort to circumvent established procedures for service animal retirement and civilian placement. The Military Review Board's response was unequivocal. They issued an immediate directive reclassifying Rex's status from active military asset to retired service animal. This administrative adjustment eliminated the jurisdictional barriers to his treatment at the VA facility and opened the path for permanent return to civilian life. Officer Thompson's role in the situation faced particular scrutiny. The investigation into his conduct revealed a pattern of similar interventions in service animal cases, leading to his immediate suspension pending administrative review. His authority over animal control matters related to service dogs was permanently revoked. The legal resolution extended beyond Rex's individual case. The Military Review Board instituted new protocols for service animal transitions, specifically addressing the integration of family bonds and therapeutic relationships in placement decisions. These guidelines established clear criteria for maintaining existing support animal relationships when consistent with the animal's welfare and service history. The resolution of Rex's case reverberated throughout the Denver community, transforming a personal struggle into a landmark victory for service animal rights. Dr. Sarah Anderson's Medical Center became the focal point for implementing new protocols, establishing precedents for handling similar cases nationwide. The facility initiated a comprehensive program integrating family bonds into service animal retirement decisions. The veteran community's response proved particularly significant. Major General Peterson coordinated with veteran organizations to establish the Service Animal Family Reunification Fund, addressing the financial barriers that often prevented families from maintaining connections with their service animals. The initiative, launched with initial funding from private donors and veteran support groups, aimed to prevent future separations due to medical costs. Local media coverage shifted from controversy to celebration as Barbara Chin's investigative reporting garnered national attention. Her detailed exposition of the case's resolution appeared in major newspapers, highlighting the broader implications for military and civilian partnerships in animal care. The story's impact extended beyond Denver, inspiring similar reviews of service animal protocols in other jurisdictions. The professional consequences resonated through institutional hierarchies. The VA Medical Center incorporated new guidelines for evaluating service animal cases, emphasizing the importance of existing therapeutic relationships. Dr. Anderson's role expanded to include oversight of these protocols, her experience with Rex's case informing the development of comprehensive evaluation criteria. The community fundraising effort, which had initially struggled amid controversy, found renewed purpose. The funds no longer needed for Rex's immediate medical care due to the military's acceptance of responsibility were redirected to establish a permanent support system for service animal families facing similar challenges. The initiative provided both financial assistance and professional advocacy for families navigating complex custody situations. Perhaps most significantly, the case established legal precedent for recognizing the therapeutic value of established bonds between service animals and their families. This recognition extended beyond military contexts to influence civilian service animal programs, creating a framework for balancing institutional needs with human connections. On a crisp January morning in 2024, following Rex's successful recovery from surgery, the VA Medical Center hosted a formal ceremony marking his official retirement from military service. The hospital's main conference room, typically reserved for medical briefings, transformed into a space of celebration. Dr. Sarah Anderson presided over the proceedings, her professional demeanor softened by the significance of the occasion. The formal transfer of custody incorporated elements of military ceremony, acknowledging Rex's distinguished service while celebrating his return to civilian life. Major General Peterson presented Lucas with Rex's official retirement papers, along with a specially commissioned service medal recognizing the dog's life-saving actions at Cherry Creek Park. The documentation, bound in a leather portfolio, represented more than administrative transfer. It symbolized the recognition of family bonds over institutional claims. Emma's participation in the ceremony marked a profound transformation. Standing beside her father in a new dress chosen for the occasion, she displayed a confidence that Dr. Martinez documented as unprecedented in her therapeutic journey. When called upon to accept Rex's service collar, Emma spoke clearly to the assembled guests, expressing gratitude that reflected both her personal growth and the community's support. The medical team's final evaluation revealed remarkable improvement in Rex's condition. The surgery, performed under Dr. Anderson's supervision, had successfully addressed the spinal complications. Physical therapy reports indicated a recovery rate that exceeded expectations, attributed in part to the consistent presence of the Mitchell family during his rehabilitation. The medical documentation noted the therapeutic value of maintained family connections during recovery. Lucas, now reinstated to full duty with the police department's K-9 training division, received additional recognition. His advocacy throughout Rex's case led to his appointment as liaison for a new program coordinating between military and civilian service animal units. This position would enable him to assist other families facing similar challenges, transforming personal experience into professional expertise. The ceremony concluded with a moment that encapsulated the journey's significance. Rex, wearing both his military service medals and his original family collar, sat at perfect attention between Lucas and Emma. At Dr. Anderson's signal, he relaxed into the familiar posture of a family companion, his transition from military asset to beloved family member complete. The Mitchell household entered a period of careful adjustment following Rex's return. Dr. Martinez established a structured reintegration program, documenting the family's progress through detailed weekly assessments. The initial phase focused on reestablishing routines that accommodated both Rex's recovery needs and Emma's therapeutic schedule. During the first month, Rex's physical rehabilitation continued under the joint supervision of Dr. Anderson and the local veterinary clinic. The program incorporated specialized exercises designed to strengthen his injured leg while maintaining his service training abilities. Lucas participated actively in these sessions, receiving certification in rehabilitation techniques specific to service animals. This training enhanced his ability to support Rex's recovery while strengthening their reformed bond. Emma's progress exceeded therapeutic projections. Her communication skills developed rapidly, particularly in situations involving Rex's care. Dr. Martinez documented significant improvements in her social interactions at school, noting how Emma's confidence in explaining Rex's rehabilitation process to classmates facilitated broader social engagement. The therapy sessions evolved to incorporate Rex's presence, creating an integrated approach to both their recoveries. Professional support remained consistent throughout the transition. Dr. Anderson conducted regular evaluations monitoring Rex's physical recovery while assessing the effectiveness of his renewed therapeutic role with Emma. Her reports highlighted the reciprocal nature of their healing. Rex's physical improvement accelerated in correlation with Emma's emotional progress, while Emma's communication skills advanced through her involvement in his rehabilitation exercises. The family's adjustment extended beyond medical considerations. Lucas implemented modifications to their home environment, guided by recommendations from both veterinary and therapeutic professionals. These changes included the installation of specialized equipment for Rex's physical therapy and the creation of a dedicated space that served both as his rest area and as a calm zone for Emma's therapy sessions. Financial stability returned gradually through the support of the newly established Service Animal Family Reunification Fund. This assistance enabled Lucas to focus on the family's recovery without the burden of medical costs that had precipitated their original separation. The fund's support extended to cover ongoing therapeutic services for both Rex and Emma, ensuring continuity of care. The Mitchell family's journey with Rex evolved into a catalyst for lasting change in service animal policies nationwide. By March 2024, their experience had become a cornerstone case study in the newly established National Service Animal Rights Initiative. Lucas, drawing from his personal experience, assumed a leadership role in developing guidelines for service animal transitions between military and civilian life. The VA Medical Center, under Dr. Anderson's guidance, inaugurated a specialized department dedicated to managing service animal retirements and family reunifications. The program incorporated lessons learned from Rex's case, establishing comprehensive protocols that balanced institutional requirements with family bonds. The success of this initiative led to its adoption by VA facilities across the country. Emma's remarkable progress influenced the development of new therapeutic approaches. Dr. Martinez's detailed documentation of Emma's recovery became the foundation for an innovative program integrating service animals into therapy for children with special needs. The methodology, formally titled the Mitchell Protocol, gained recognition in professional circles for its emphasis on maintaining established therapeutic bonds. Rex's story continued to impact community initiatives. The Service Animal Family Reunification Fund expanded its scope, establishing partnerships with veterinary clinics and therapeutic centers nationwide. This network ensured that families facing similar circumstances would have access to both financial support and professional advocacy. The fund's success demonstrated the community's ongoing commitment to supporting service animal families. Lucas's role evolved beyond his police duties to include regular speaking engagements at military and civilian institutions. His presentations, focusing on the intersection of service animal welfare and family bonds, contributed to policy reforms at both state and federal levels. The Mitchell family's experience became a powerful testament to the importance of preserving therapeutic relationships in service animal placement decisions. As Rex settled into his role as both family companion and therapy assistant, his impact extended beyond the Mitchell household. Regular visits to the VA Medical Center, where he participated in demonstration sessions for new protocols, helped other families navigate similar transitions. His presence served as a living reminder of the successful integration of military service and family bonds. The lasting legacy of their journey manifested in concrete policy changes and institutional reforms, ensuring that future cases would benefit from their experience. The Mitchell family's story transformed from a personal struggle into a beacon of hope for service animal families nationwide, demonstrating the power of perseverance, community support, and the enduring bond between humans and their faithful companions. Rex's story resonates deeply with the values that defined our generation: loyalty, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bonds of family. Like many of us who served our country or supported those who did, this German Shepherd demonstrated unwavering dedication, not just in military service, but in the pure love for a child who needed him most. His journey reflects our own experiences of separation, resilience, and the courage to stand up against bureaucracy when human connections matter most. As parents and grandparents who witnessed America's evolution, we understand the profound impact of having a faithful companion who offers unconditional love and support, especially in helping our loved ones overcome life's challenges. Rex's struggle to reunite with Emma mirrors the battles many of us have fought, not with weapons, but with paperwork, regulations, and systems that sometimes forget the human heart behind every case. This story reminds us that our generation's greatest legacy isn't just the institutions we built, but the values we defend, the belief that love, family, and loyalty transcend official protocols. In Rex and the Mitchell family's triumph, we see a reflection of our own determination to protect what matters most, proving that even in our modern world, the simple bond between a dog and his family can still move mountains. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.